Even though the island of Inchcleraun is slightly closer to the Roscommon shore of Lough Ree than to the Longford side, and would have been in medieval times within the territory of the O'Connors of Connacht, it's nowadays considered part of the province of Leinster. Such geographic niceties would not have been in the minds of the Vikings or indeed the Munster men who pillaged it on numerous occasions. It only covers an area of some 60 acres, but Inchcleraun must contain more monastic ruins to the square inch than nearly anywhere else in the country. There's a kind of timeless uniformity about built stone that makes you think everything belongs to the same age. Yes, most of these buildings have been abandoned since at least the mid-1500s, but you're looking at a complex of structures here that spans close to 1,000 years, beginning with the very earliest, that of St. Diarmaid the Just, who founded the first monastic site here in the year 560 AD. I'm visiting Inchcleraun in the company of Jimmy Casey, a man who's known this island all of his life, and indeed who was well acquainted with the last people to inhabit it, due to the fact that his father was the local postmaster. Our trip out to the island was courtesy of Kevin Casey, the bog oak sculptor from Newton Cashel, who's also a dab hand at negotiating the sudden squalls that Lough Ree throws up. By the time we disembarked on the island, all was suddenly calm again.
My friend always used to enjoy the silence and the quietude of the island.
This is the friend that you lost recently.
That's right,
just last year, was it?
Last year, yeah. He was the authority on this Sean Cahill.
Yeah.
And he had been coming here for 25 years, I suppose, or more, in a small boat first of all, and then got into a cabin cruiser, and we had great outings on the lake and on the island here as well.
It kind of has an atmosphere of its own, or is that our imagination?
Oh, it's not your imagination, yeah. It's real. The atmosphere of this island and other monastic islands on the lake is real. You know, the fellas who put those walls together and those churches together are, in the air around here.
Yeah.
They seem to be.
Not in any ghostly sense, but just in
the spirit of
the peace and the tranquility of the place.
Yeah.
But this is the most modest of them, or certainly one of the most modest, and this is the oldest of these ruins that we're looking at.
That's
here.
right, yeah.
It was very small, that's all I'm
But
going to say.
We weren't fed as well then as
So do you think they were literally smaller people back in those days?
I do, yeah. I do.
Well, they must have been to get in, squeeze in through there.
Yeah.
And it's not that far off the ground. You and I would be squeezing, literally.
That's right,
bending down and squeezing to get in here.
Mm.
This was a church. This is Dermot's church.
Dermot's church.
And he's the man who founded the whole monastic foundation here. Okay.
And he's the man that gave a few lessons to St. Kieran before he went to Clonmacnoise.
So he sent off one of his apprentices, more or less, go way down. And Clonmacnoise is Kieran's foundation.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Mm.
And he would have learnt his trade at this man's knees, in other words.
Yeah.
If Jimmy's friend, the late Sean Cahill, was the local authority on the antiquities of Inchcleraun, then surely Jimmy Casey himself has now assumed that mantle, because he proceeded to conduct me on an extremely informative tour of some of the other notable ruins. The Temple Moor, with monastic apartments and cloisters attached. Temple Murray, a church dedicated to Mary, though strangely misogynistic. Any woman entering it, it was said, would be dead within a year. And here, separated from the other ruins because it was built on the highest point of the island, the church attached to the Clogus or bell tower, whose bell could be heard, we're told, in Roscommon town some 7 miles away. When so much of the island relates to the early Christian and medieval periods of Irish history, Inchcleraun, whose name derives from a sister of Queen Maeve, is more commonly known as Quaker Island, and that is of relatively recent origin.
That would be the early 19th century, in the 1800s, when there was a lady called Lady Featherstone owned the island, and she rented the place, or leased the place, to Edward Fairbrother, who was a Quaker from over in Ballymurray in Roscommon. There was a Quaker community over there. So he came and lived on the island and farmed the island and created a great stir when he'd go to the fairs around in the crockery and Roscommon and Athlone, because he was a good buyer of stock, and the local people would have liked to see him coming because there'd be a good demand for their cattle and sheep on that particular day.
Would it be considered an easy mark? Would it,
Well, no, the Quaker tradition would be they were honest people.
Of course,
and,
yes.
Maybe more honest than some of
Too honest, perhaps.
some
you
of
know.
us.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Never mind 1500 years of saints and scholars and warrior queens. All you have to be to get an island named after you in Lough Ree is an honest man.